Welcome to the Stuff and Things Podcast, your home for all stuff related to your favorite things in entertainment. Now, here are your hosts.
Hello everybody and welcome to a new episode of the Stuff and Things Podcast. Today we're talking Daredevil Born Again episode 7. Joining me to discuss the episode, it's Stefan.
Good morning, afternoon and evening. How we doing?
I'm alright, mate. I still, every time you do that, I think of the Truman Show.
I know, I've kind of just made it my thing now. That's it. That's going to stay.
It was on the, it was actually on TV recently, that film. I always forget how strangely, eerily accurate some of it has become to the world.
Oh no, that's never good.
Especially with reality TV. Have you seen the film? Obviously.
I've seen it, but such a long time ago.
Well, the basic premise is a TV studio adopts a baby and then just basically chronicles this baby's everyday life, choreographs it. Everyone's an actor. This child grows into an adult not knowing, not living in the real world. It's just such a terrifying idea that is now you look at, and at that time I think really the only reality TV was like Big Brother and stuff. So it was kind of just, it was like, oh, look at how crazy an idea that is.
I almost made it onto Big Brother. I got to the last round of interviews. Just throw that out there.
Okay. Well, that's really good. I've known you a long time and I didn't know that.
And I've been an extra on The Only Way is Essex. So there we go. Let's just throw them all out there. There we go.
Well, I can believe that.
And if you... I'm not even going to go about the other one I've been on. So no. Okay, let's carry on.
Yeah, okay. So, we're talking about Daredevil episode 7. The title of the episode was...
Art for Art's Sake.
Yes. And... yeah, it's quite a... I'm loving the series. It's another good episode in my opinion. Interestingly, from what I've read, and there doesn't appear to be any official confirmation, but people seem to be saying this like matter of fact, so I'm wondering if it's from an interview somewhere I've just not been able to find. This was the last episode that is kind of original footage edited in with reshoots, and the final 2 of the season, so episodes 8 and 9, are fully part of the reshoots.
Do you know what? That could make sense, because I was very surprised that Muse is kind of done already. I thought that would have been a kind of season finale thing. So potentially if they've bumped it along a little bit to kind of make these 2 extra episodes of reshoots to kind of get the story how they want it for season 2, that could make sense.
Well, the Muse thing's caused quite a lot of not controversy, but quite a lot of debate, which is interesting to me, because I always love it when you can argue both sides.
Yep.
So I quite like that. But with this episode, what I'm going to do is just kind of break it down into different bits. I want to kind of pick out a couple of random bits from the episode, if you like, not tied into greater stories, just to pick them out, and I want to get your opinion on it. So first of all, I want to pick up on the character Cherry, who is Matt's he's a former NYPD detective, and he's involved with Matt. He knows Matt is Daredevil, and he kind of almost acts to me initially almost like his sober companion, trying to keep him away from that life.
Yep.
Does that make sense as an analogy to you?
He's almost taken over the foggy role, but not quite as hands-on, it feels.
Well, the taking over the foggy role, I think, is quite literal, because like we discussed this before, where the original concept of the show had Foggy and Karen killed off screen.
And then he now works with a female partner and this guy that acts like a moral compass. It does feel like a direct replacement.
It does. It basically feels like the original showrunners for Daredevil Born Again decided to replace Foggy and Karen. And part of that was those original actors weren't available to come back, and there was also rumours they didn't like certain aspects of the fact they were going to ignore the Netflix shows in that original concept. So maybe they might have been more willing to find a way to come back if they hadn't looked at it and gone, yeah, this doesn't look good. John Bernthal, the Punisher, also originally rejected the show.
Yes.
So, again, kind of interesting, this character. We see him and Matt kind of have a little bit of a confrontation. There was one little thing in that Matt said, which felt a little bit throwaway, but I picked up on it, where he says, back when you were an NYPD detective, you would call me for things like this.
Yep.
Did you pick up on that?
I did. I liked that. It was kind of like it was a bit throwaway, but it also had a real meaning behind it of like, you're telling me not to do all this stuff, but like a couple of years ago, you would have been calling me to come and do it.
So obviously he didn't know Matt was Daredevil until the night of his retirement and his death. Yeah. But it would have seemed like this was a guy who perhaps had a back channel to Daredevil, and it'd be like, yeah, the law can't find this guy, or the law can't touch this guy. Yeah, Daredevil.
Can you? Yeah.
Yes, yeah, he can touch him all over. Thank you, Deadpool. Yeah. I kind of like that. Also, Matt had a little smile on his face, like, don't lecture me. don't. Like, this girl would be dead if it wasn't for me. I'm not having that.
Yeah.
I did. Charlie Cox did say in an interview this week, which made me laugh. You know how he dials 911 last week, and they're like, "What do you need? What do you need?" And he just hangs up and goes, "Fuck it."
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. He improvised it to try and make the crew laugh, and they left it in.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So basically, they were doing a couple of takes of like what he would do, like. Would he start talking and then stop, or, different variants of it? And they got to this one, like, okay, just try it a bit where you're like a bit reluctant, and then you make the decision. And he's like, all right, yeah, I got it. Yeah. Hangs up, fuck it. And walks off, and he said like everyone laughed, well, that was brilliant. And then they were like, you know what, that's actually perfect.
That's brilliant. That's made everyone laugh. Yeah. It's staying in. Yeah.
Well, it's just it was a perfect, because it kind of, this show is the 18 rating and everything like that, and it is what it is do you know what, fuck it, I'm going. Yeah. And it kind of worked brilliantly, so I liked that. I did enjoy that. But sorry, going back to the Cherry thing, Cherry also then has a conversation with Kirsten later on with these two characters, like you said, kind of replacing Foggy and Karen. It felt a little bit kind of, again, what's going on with him? Why is he like this? Why he's clearly lying to us? And I was like, oh yeah, I feel like this is very recycled.
Yeah, I feel like we've had these conversations before. Yeah.
Yeah. But what are your thoughts? Because both the characters are interested in their own rights. Like, parking the Karen and Foggy thing to one side, they are two interesting additions to the cast of characters. I like them both, and I'm kind of still finding my way with both, and perhaps finding where they fit into certain things, but that's not a bad thing. That's what you do normally with characters.
Yeah.
But Cherry, I think I've kind of got down. Cherry's ex-NYPD, now working as sort of like a PI, an investigator. His role in this seems pretty clear, and the fact he knows who Matt is, that's going to be interesting going forward. What about Kirsten? Because she's clearly not daft. Very good at her job. Obviously is now concerned about the firm. We know the firm's having financial problems. Where do you think she's at with this? Because at some point she's going to go from just, I'm a bit suspicious what's going on, to actually being pissed off.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, I find her character very kind of take it or leave it. I'm not invested in her character at all, and I think that's purely due to like the lack of screen time and storyline behind her.
Yeah,
like she's very much just she works with Matt.
Yeah.
You know, when you had, going back to them, but when you had Karen and Foggy, you know, Karen came into it with a storyline of why she was there, and then she developed this relationship with both the characters, and she was around and involved a lot. Whereas this character just kind of seems to be, again, like you say, very clever and clearly very good at her job. Yeah. But she seems to me to be very much like background at the moment. So I'm hoping that she's going to kind of get a bit more foreground in these last 2 episodes and flesh that character out a bit. Because, at the moment, I'm going like, if she decides that, do you know what, you're keeping secrets from me, I'm out, I'm leaving in the next episode, I don't feel like it would really have any impact because she's not been given enough of a character yet.
Yeah, okay, yeah, no, I think that's probably fair. Her introduction is kind of laid out for us, though, where in the sense of she was kind of flirty, back and forth, trying to get information from Foggy at the bar the night he was killed.
Yep.
And the next thing you know is that she's quit her kind of role that she had and joined up with Matt to kind of take on Foggy's work. So the kind of the time jump of the year is the Karen introduction style. Do you know what I mean? Like you said, Karen comes in with this story, what's happened to her. You know, what's happened to Kirsten is kind of that night.
Yeah.
And then all of that building over that year we've not seen. So yes. Her kind of, at the moment, it is kind of difficult for us because we don't know her and we're not seeing enough of her to get to know her. So I get what you're saying. I think any kind of emotional attachment to her needs to be built, and therefore any kind of scene where she's kind of making a demand or something right now it'll be met with a kind of, who the fuck are you? Why do we care?
that sort of attitude at the moment, which is unfair on the actress and the character, I guess, but I'm hoping, like I say, that she's going to get fleshed out a bit more. And
well, it's a time thing. It's a TV series, and this is something, you know, we've talked about. You know, this is a genuine episodic TV series they've written, and and I like it for that, and it works. And I mean, you watch and this isn't me digging at you now for once on this, but you like to watch a show like Grey's Anatomy. That show's what, 25 years worth?
We're on season 13, and I think there's like 22 now available on Disney Plus or something crazy.
All right, so over 20 years worth of show.
Yeah.
That cast is not the same from minute 1 to minute end.
Nope.
So whenever they introduce someone new, so you're 13 seasons in.
Yeah.
During that, someone probably has arrived in like season 4 or 5 or something that's still there now.
Yep.
But when they arrived, you're like, who the fuck's that?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, of course.
God, they're annoying. You know? And that kind of, so episodic TV is this way, and so I'm not kind of, and I don't think you are either, I'm not saying that you're writing this person off or whatever, we're not interested, go away. It is a case of, okay, give us that time, because me and you have talked about shows which are episodic as well, like The Walking Dead, for example, and you introduce a character in that, and like minute 1 you can be hooked to them just by the way they're introduced. You just mentioned like the Karen thing in the original Daredevil season 1.
Mm-hmm.
With regards to others as well, we can have them just loitering in the background constantly, so we know who they are. They've had lines on a regular basis, and then they get eaten by a zombie, and we're like, we don't care. We never got to know them.
Yeah, I think looking at like the Disney Plus stuff with Marvel, you look at WandaVision, we got introduced to Agatha or Agnes really early on, and that was a character that kind of gripped us from the very beginning.
Yeah.
There's been other shows where characters have been introduced and you're kind of like, take or leave.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
hopefully, hopefully this character over time will get fleshed out and could be a really good character.
Yeah, I think what you were just saying then is very opinion based, though. I'm just talking about like in general. Whenever someone's introduced, there's that initial feeling, and then you will then make your opinion going forward. But sometimes if you don't give anyone, like if she doesn't get any increase in screen time at all and then is killed off, it's just going to be apathy from the audience, because it's like, you never gave us the chance to care. Yeah. Anyway, so that's that. But I think we're kind of. So I wanted to highlight that just kind of. So that's one thing, sort of the one side. Another thing I wanted to highlight was the confrontation or weird interaction between BB and Daniel. What did you think about that?
That just felt a bit strange. I can understand, like, so basically what I think happened was he wanted some stories taken down and wants her to almost be like propaganda for Fisk, because she's street level. A lot of people kind of look to her for, in quotations, the real news.
Yeah.
And he kind of wants her to be, right, you're going to write these stories for us.
Yeah.
You're going to be our eyes and ears on the ground, but you're also going to feed the narrative that we need you to feed.
Yeah.
And then he's kind of like, she admits that, well, I did kind of, you were a bit drunk and a bit high and you gave me some stories, so happy days. And his character, he's another character where I'm just a bit like, there's something about him that I do not like. Like, I
think that's what we're supposed to be feeling.
Yeah, that's it. It's a good character, because you have that constant feeling of just like, oh, he's a bit slimy, a little bit kind of like he's gonna. Yeah. He wants to be the next one in charge too much to Fisk. Like, he wants to be Fisk's right hand man. It's like, oh, it's just a bit.
I was about to say to you, there's two parts in this episode which I think sums him up. A little bit earlier on, he stood with Buck. And Fisk says, what do you see when you see out this window? And he says something like the street, and then Buck says like voters, and he immediately goes voters, like kind of takes the line from it. Like, that's what I said. It was what I said. I said it first, and like, and then when he's got this scene with BB, he was almost pretending to be Fisk, sat in the chair, acting like he's in charge, he's the boss, telling her what to do. It's a kind of what's interesting to me is it's a kind of hero worship from him, and I don't know if there's a character in the comics who has this and someone's got it out there, but it feels to me like we are witnessing a origin story, like this kid is like, I want to be just like Fisk, and he's kind of mirroring himself, see himself. He seems in a way kind of harmless, a bit douchey, a bit kind of, fraternity bro idiot.
Yeah.
But then it's like, is something going to happen? Like, is Fisk going to snap at him at some point, or is something going to happen and he's going to go? Like, there's going to be something in him that snaps himself.
He's going to witness Fisk turn into QueenPin and be like, yeah, I want to be like that.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, but at the moment, because he's a good actor, he's Michael Gandolfini. He's there's something there, but I don't know what it is yet. But it has me interested. We're talking about, is there any interest? Like, that has me interested. He's had a lot of screen time. Okay, who is he, and where's that going to go? Because obviously we learned a lot more about Buck in this episode, but that was interesting to me. His interaction with BB, and by the way, I don't think he's out of order being pissed at her. I think he has every right to feel like you owe me one, but he kind of it felt like a threat to her, and that's where the line was kind of like, okay, you can be pissed and you can kind of be a bit kind of like, you owe me, you should do this for me. And then he kind of really sort of danced over the line into an almost or else. Yeah,
it's got like, you've got two options. One's going to make you, one's going to break you. I hope you choose the right one. And I was like, no, that was a bit. That was a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and she did have a look like, not quite sure how to take this from you.
Who the fuck are you? Yeah.
Yeah. I mentioned Buck, and we do learn more about Buck in this episode. What do you think about Buck?
He's an interesting character so far. Like, he is very much the right-hand man.
The new Wesley?
Quite possibly, yes.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it and I'm kind of like, at the moment, Mayor Fisk needs that right-hand man to do the dirty work.
Yeah.
But again, in this episode, we see a plate full of steak and potatoes. Like, he is definitely bulking up.
Yep.
Does Wilson Fisk need a right-hand man to do his dirty work? Only Maya does. So I'm like, is this a character that's going to stick around because Fisk doesn't want to get his hands dirty? Or once Fisk decides that he's going to go full Kingpin and get his hands dirty, what does the future kind of hold for Buck?
Well, if you think
he's going to be around for a while, though.
I think he's going to be around, definitely, because if you think back to this episode, brought it up as well. When he's talking to Buck about Daredevil coming back, he's like, he tore down what took me 10 years to build. If you think back to Daredevil season 1 from the Netflix era, Wesley, like, he obviously was more than capable of taking care of himself. And you had that brutal scene, he destroyed that guy's head in the car door. Basically
God, yeah.
Stepping and talking to him.
Yeah.
But he set that whole thing up with a distance to him. He kept himself like compartmentalized, and he literally brutally murdered people who stepped to talk to him like outside of their chain, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
And so when he's building this as the mayor, I think in his mind he's doing the same thing, which is, I can't actually be linked to any of this because then I'm not mayor anymore. But as the mayor, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be Kingpin again. But I need the people in the right place. And having Buck next to him, and obviously clearly someone, I mean, he says to him, like, I brought you over from your other life. Now, this character does appear in the comics. And he's a former US sort of agent, so highly trained.
Makes sense.
And then he was a mercenary. He's described as lethal. He does have a kind of a persona in the comics, but it's unclear whether they're going to want to go down that road or not, because it doesn't. In the comics, everyone has a alternate.
Oh, of course. I mean, looking at the character and what we've seen so far, I would say an idea of him having some sort of agency, service, military kind of background would definitely make sense. He's always suited and booted. The whole silencer in the shadows and all that sort of thing. Yeah, he's definitely got some sort of secret service, I'd say, background.
His calmness, I think, leads to that as well.
Yeah.
Remember the scene where Vanessa sent him to basically demand like they pay each other.
Yeah.
And they're all shouting, they're all running their mouths. He's just like, I work for the boss. Get the step in. I'm not intimidated by you. I don't care.
Yeah.
So he's clearly very confident, very calculated. He does remind me of Wesley, which again, I think Fisk wants someone like that or needs someone like that by him. He tried it with Poindexter, Bullseye, but he was obviously, a few fries short of a Happy Meal. So, I find that interesting. This episode had that development for that character, which enabled me. And you mentioned it then, the silencer in the shadows. So this brings me on to Vanessa meeting up with Luca. Where's your head on this? Did Vanessa set Luca up, or was she trying to get Fisk killed?
I am, in my famous way, flip-flopping around this. I really am.
Okay.
I watched the episode and I was like, oh my God, Luca was right. Vanessa does want all the power. She's actually going to get rid of Fisk. Wow. Yeah. And then the way that Buck was kind of there, ready, waiting, and I'm now like, oh no, Vanessa did not like the fact that Luca was standing up and being like, nope.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, he stood up one too many times and she's just taking him out the equation. And then I think about it a bit more and I'm like, oh, has she really had enough of Fisk? Because Adam's gone missing and she's really pissed and she knows he was lying about Adam. Or did she try and get him killed and Buck was just there as kind of, you stay in the shadows just in case because everyone knows I'm alone?
You will delight the showrunner who has done an interview saying they deliberately wanted this to be ambiguous, where people would be asking all the questions you just asked.
Yeah.
So your reaction is exactly what they were going for. I think, yeah. I think for me, I think she's still Team Fisk. I think there is something between them which was very genuine, and I think although they're not there right now, I think she is not stupid, and she would not be trying to take him out in such a sloppy way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, she has access to the guy's food. There's a lot of ways she could take Fisk out if she wanted to. And also, it, like you said, him in the shadows with the silencer. By the way, that made me laugh out loud, like a proper ha, like that, because I couldn't see him.
No.
So as the guy comes in and he just literally boom dead, I was like, ah, brilliant.
Yeah,
just so calm. Yeah. The Fisk sat there in the black suit eating alone in a restaurant with someone creeping up behind in the shooting was a very mafia movie trope as well, which I enjoyed.
Yeah, it was just, I'm still, when he asked, and asked Vanessa if she wants to bring back anything for her, and I'm kind of like, I really, really don't quite know which way this is going. Like, is that Fisk knowing that she's tried something and him going, and basically let her know I'm still alive and if she'd like any pudding? Or
no, for me, it's they're on the same page.
Oh yeah,
and they set that up to take out Luca,
and it sends a message to the rest of them, doesn't it? Look, step out of line. Look what happens.
Well, yeah, I mean, and he's not shy of sending a message, but obviously there's a lot of sort of gang back and forth going on. He needs to take charge of it, which, if you remember, right at the very start, Vanessa said that. Like, this needs to be controlled. You can't just ignore it. And he's like, oh, no, it's fine. We're above all that now. And now, obviously, she's been proven right. So if he is playing it smartly, which most of us men do not, he'll be letting her know she was right and, putting things in place to keep things handled now Luca's gone. But yeah, most of us men get that wrong, so we'll have to wait and see.
If we see Daniel in a tracksuit next week because he's been put in charge of them, I will laugh.
Yeah, a lot. Very much so. I would laugh a lot at that. Obviously, in this episode, the key thing for me is obviously Bastian, aka Muse, going to see Heather and everything kind of going wild from that.
You called that, to be fair. You spotted that early on and you said about that was going to happen. Yeah,
well, I mean, the kid plays a creepy little bastard better than anyone I know. So, he's proper CLB. He showed up in the Wednesday season.
Yes.
Season 1. And he's a creepy little bastard in that as well. In a show of creepy little bastards, he stood out as the creepiest. So
I'm not entirely sure that's how you want your job reels to be. Like, I'm typecast into what? Creepy little bastard.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I'm a sociopath in everything I do. Why do you think you keep getting those roles? I don't know.
I don't know, but don't look in the trunk of my car. Yeah,
exactly. There's two parts to this where I'm a little bit sad that has ended. I get it, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, and the main reason why I'm sad is because I don't think we got enough of him out of the mask being creepy to mess with us. Does that make sense?
100%. I will actually put my hands up and go, I was quite disappointed with how this storyline's gone. I really wanted more of a kind of a build-up. Like you say, seeing Bastian more without the mask, seeing him a bit more day-to-day life and stuff, and kind of really build this character up to kind of this, whoa, this dude is messed up. What we really got was a guy in a mask kidnap a few people. We saw one attempt at draining someone, one attempt that actually worked at draining someone, and then this scene in the doctor's office. And that was kind of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, I was going to come on to this, but we'll do it now. Yeah, I think that opinion's perfectly valid. I don't think there's any argument to that. The other side to it is, again, this kind of episodic TV thing and sort of the pacing and getting stuff right. You can't have, because it just doesn't work, 20, 30 characters and villains and lots of stuff going on all at once, because it gets so jumbled and fucked, it just doesn't, it becomes unfollowable. In the show, you've got Kingpin, Vanessa, you've got Bullseye, you've got these characters and these things that have happened that are going to come back around. The anti-vigilante task force, the White Tiger storyline. And they've linked it in and tied it in quite nicely, and it's all kind of linked up, but you have to remember that they were re-editing, redoing existing to merge with new to make the best of what they had. And I think the Muse character is, because I would argue and say, potentially one of the greater villains on the TV because of how dark he was and how terrifying, messed up,
100%.
Graphic, horrible. I think one of the best previously was another character called Kilgrave.
Jessica Jones. He messed me up watching that.
Yeah. Awful power, terrible person, incredible villain. I think
that's what made Kilgrave even worse, is the fact that he was just a bad person. Like, his ability alone was terrifying. The fact he was such a bad, twisted person as well. That was like, you have people like the Thanos thing, where some people argue, well, Thanos had a point and all this sort of thing. There was no point of Kilgrave that could make you go, well, he had a point. No, not even a little. Loki had a bit of a point sometimes. Yeah, maybe.
He killed 83 people in 2 days, Steph.
What's that?
He was Loki. He killed 83 people in 2 days, Steph.
That's impressive, isn't it?
Yeah. No, bad. You're supposed to say
that's awful. That's terrible. That's awful. Poor child just wanted to be loved.
That's impressive.
He just wanted to be loved.
Steph, you're now on a list. You realise that, right? Like, I said 83 people dead in 2 days, and that's impressive. That's where your mind went.
I can think of 32 countries that I'm not allowed in.
Yeah, and the rest. So going back to this, where Kilgrave was amazing. That is a villain of proportions, like, is unbelievable. He was in 11 episodes of a 13-episode season and killed. Now, Muse, I get, has been in 7 episodes, visually in 6 of a 9-episode season and killed. It's really no different. It is a really, really good character, but they've got thousands of really good characters from the books.
They can
it is a TV.
Yeah, I just feel like this could have been a lot bigger character than he was.
But don't you think then you also run the risk of it becoming boring?
Okay, so again, as we know, people on the podcast, listeners know, we covered The Walking Dead. And between The Walking Dead main show and even Fear the Walking Dead, we have had multiple times where we've got like into the 3rd season of the same baddie and we're like, oh, come on. Just kill him off already.
It's a balancing act, and like I said a minute ago, you're not wrong. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying that it's like there is a balancing act. So I do get it, and there's also a shock value. When Heather pulled the and he was killed, I was like, holy shit!
Yeah, whoa, they actually did that. Yeah.
And I don't dislike that. I don't dislike the show throwing me, because there's also an element now of, well, who's going to die next? Yeah. Like, they are not, like, if there's, like, you kill Foggy off right at the start, he's not really dead, he's faked his death. That's my official party line, I'm still sticking to it.
Yeah.
But you do that in a show like this, and then you've got this villain, like you said, you could have had 2 seasons out of this guy. Easily.
Like, I genuinely think a character like Muse could have been a movie villain. Because there's so much to that character.
But this show, this setting, 18 rating,
Yeah.
Like, the MCU isn't about to do a 18 rated Muse movie.
No.
You know, it's not going to make money.
No.
It won't make him any money. No, it ain't going to make him any money. So in this setting and in the thing what we got with it, it makes perfect sense. That's a character to bring in here because we can show the blood. Like, when he cuts in, I had to look away. Like, that was no. Why are you showing that?
Yeah, that was visual. I was like, oh,
and it's all there to kind of to be.
To have
they
that
can
exact
be
effect
that way.
on people where you're like, oh,
Exactly.
God.
Yeah. Horrible. Kill that bastard. Oh, they did. Okay.
Yeah.
So it again, like, I think you can go round and round on it, but like, for me, I'm not annoyed. Like, there's a lot of people that are really mad about it. And I'm like, no, I don't.
Oh, what, that he was killed off too early?
Like, yeah, but like I said, it can be valid to that, but then at the same time, the same people would likely moan if we're halfway through season 2 and it's like, what, just no one's going to kill that guy? What are we going to do? Just, like, keep ignoring him?
Yeah,
like, let's say for example, the Punisher went in that room, not Daredevil. The Punisher barrels the sumbitch and people laugh because, hey, John dealt with it.
Yeah.
You know, I say John, that's the actor, John.
Frank Castle's just walked in and gone, bang, fuck you.
Yeah. Yes, that's exactly it. Like, how would Frank deal with him? Probably the same way Heather did, ironically.
Just a bigger gun and less shots.
Yeah, a bigger gun, and it would have happened sooner. Yeah. The minute, he wouldn't have got out of the murder cave.
He would have walked into the... Yeah, that's true. If he'd have gone down there, boom! Okay, let's go.
Yeah, right, kid, I saved you. What happened to him? Oh, he's there and over there, bits of him over there. But it's dealt with, don't worry about it. So, yeah, there's... And the same people moaning would have been like, yay, Punisher! so it's yeah, I'm like I said, there isn't a right or wrong, I don't think. I think you can have a view, but me and you have sort of said before, leaving wanting more perhaps is the better way to go. And it kind of... With comic books, there's always ways. Like, so, for example, we're talking about that weirdo friggin' Daniel. You can get copycats.
Oh, definitely.
Do you know what I mean? And it's kind of like...
There's an actual bad guy called Copycat. Yep.
Well, yeah, but just because someone's killed Muse doesn't mean that that type of character can't suddenly be again. You know, it just...
Oh, definitely.
Bastion's dead, Muse isn't. That's like a potential thing, if that makes sense.
Yep, I get that.
But yeah, so on that scene then, because we kind of jumped over it, you had some issues with stuff in this episode. I was going to give you an opportunity to kind of air them.
Oh, yeah, so I got, there's 3 things, okay?
Yeah.
One of them is a bit more nitpicky than the others.
Yeah. So,
the very start of the episode, we have the little girl whose name has just escaped me.
Yeah, Angela.
Angela's she's laying in the hospital bed and she's having flashbacks of these things that happened. And I'm like, but she was really clearly drugged and unconscious and laying there with no response. How does she remember that thing being stabbed in her leg if she was drugged up and unconscious?
Yeah.
Like, she's having these flashbacks. I'm just sat there, I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
So you're not alone in that. I watch several kind of like YouTubers on a regular basis, one of them being New Rock Stars. If you're listening to this and you've not checked them out before, they do comprehensive stuff on everything, nerdy or even slightly nerdy, and they're often done in a really quite enjoyable way. But they the lady who did their review of the episode literally said the exact same thing you just said then.
I haven't seen it, just saying, these are my words.
No, I know that.
Yeah.
No, I know that. I was just saying to you that you're not alone in what you're saying. There are other people giving the same opinion.
Yeah.
The only thing I can give as a counter to that, I don't disagree with you. I thought it was weird. The only thing I can give as a potential counter, which if it is the case they didn't explain very well, and we would need to understand that soon, is this girl, now the White Tiger, what are the White Tiger's abilities in, enhanced senses? Does that mean that perhaps these flashes and these memories she's having, her ability to recall things, and the kind of distorted, does she really understand what she's remembering, is like a combination of being drugged, being knocked out, but actually having these enhanced senses?
Yeah, because the other side to it was she speaks about how, he was telling me all about these portraits that he draws, and we're kind of watching it going, when?
Yeah.
When did that? We saw you walk into a tunnel, and then we see you being carried unconscious by Muse. When did that conversation happen?
On the cutting room floor, apparently.
It would seem so, and that was a bit of a silly choice. For me, that kind of felt really kind of odd. To let me talk about this conversation we had that none of you knew we had. I was kind of like, that was just a bit... It felt a bit strange.
You say it's odd, but that's literally a storytelling device used in every TV show every day.
Yeah, and it always very strange.
Well, no, it isn't, because you can't follow someone's, your characters need to go to the toilet, but you rarely see them go.
Well, that's true.
But if they were to say, like, hey, I was just in the urinal speaking to so-and-so, that's a normal telling, it's like a normal, you've had this conversation off screen and now you're telling us on screen what's going on.
Yeah, I think it was way it was shown in the last episode. Say her walking into the tunnel and we hear the kind of noises around, and then seeing her drugged.
Well,
it didn't seem to me like there would have been a moment where they sat down and had a conversation. It seems like that would have been a very kind of hectic, chaotic kidnapping, more than a let me tell you.
Well, exactly. There was a lot cut from that, I think, because we never saw her get taken either.
No.
We saw her walking around. The next thing you know, she slumped, being carried. What happened? Did she fall and hit her head, and he picked her up? Did he knock her out? There's no explanation there. And again, I'm gonna blame the cutting, recutting of the episodes.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. There isn't. It's well worth pointing out that wasn't done very well.
Yes.
Nitpicky.
Oh no, the next one isn't what you think. This one's nitpicky. I didn't as much. He gets a slight nosebleed and then makes like an entire bit of art on a bit of paper that had quite a lot of blood from just a small bit out of his nose. I just thought that was a bit strange. I understand his nose was bleeding, but show us him touching his nose again. That's all. That just felt a bit like.
So, watching the scene again and looking at the picture you sent me,
yeah,
there's dripping onto the page from his nose. You can see the drips on the paper, so his nose is continually bleeding.
Yep, I think I just need to kind of see him, I don't know, touch his nose or use one of those drips. It just seemed like there was a lot of a picture that he did.
Yeah. Again, I think this is just difference of opinion in terms of, I don't need to see how the sausage is made to know it's a sausage. I don't think I need to see him go, and here's some blood on this eye, here's a little bit more blood for this. I know his nose is bleeding, I know where the blood's coming from, and it isn't like they're thick, perfect red lines everywhere. It's like,
oh no, I get it. It was just that was my thought when I first watched it. I kind of saw him touch his nose, get this little bit of blood, and then we see his picture. And I was just, my instant reaction was, "Whoa, that's a lot of blood out of nothing."
Yeah. Well, no, it's like it was nose.
Well,
yeah. I didn't see that, but again, you're not alone in that. I saw a lot of reactions similar to that online.
And then the nitpicky one was just the fact that Daredevil himself can feel the picture, like the painting. He felt the painting and instantly went, "Oh my god, it's Heather," and went. Yet Heather could hear him and see his half of his face and not went, "Oh, that's my boyfriend."
Yeah.
I like to think if my wife had, the top half of her face covered, but I could still hear her voice and see her nose, jaw and mouth and stuff, I'd be able to go, "That's my wife."
Yeah, I mean, okay, so two parts to that, which is interesting. The idea that he can run his hand over a painting and recognise her face, I find difficult.
Yeah.
As Muse textured a braille picture, there's no reason to do that. Why?
They even showed, like, the cutback showed of him running his hand down her face, and I was like, oh, you're trying to hard sell that one.
Yeah, so I really didn't think that made any sense to me. So I'm with you.
See, I thought that was one I was nitpicking on.
No, that's not nitpicking. No, your nitpicking bit is the next bit, which I'll come on to. This bit is valid, and what makes it worse is I think they actually built in a way that it would have been better for Matt to find out. So the police used their facial scanning stuff on the pictures to see if it would trip anything, because it was like, okay, let's scan these, because if his art matches with anyone, perhaps they're potential targets.
Yeah.
And they did that, and they managed to go, oh, it's her. And so you've got this member of this anti-vigilante task force telling Fisk, we've identified one of these painters as potentially this Heather or whoever it is, who's a psychologist. We're heading there right now, sort of thing. If Matt had overheard that, exactly, that makes, then you could have him like lurking around, which he was, overhears that as shit, so he leaves. That makes sense.
So much more.
In his hand,
so much more sense.
So much more sense. So that was frustrating, and again, I think it's well worth pointing out that was dumb. I think that was dumb. The bit about her recognizing him, I think that is her in a high stress situation, losing blood, delirious, and then immediately she's piecing it together, because when she's in the hospital, someone else was there. Daredevil was there. I'm pretty sure he said my name.
Now,
she is piecing that together.
I actually had to rewind it, listen to it twice, and then put the subtitles on, because I was convinced in the bed she said, and then you showed up.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, and then he showed up. But I was convinced she said, and then you showed up. And I was like, oh my God, she worked it out.
So I think she is. I think over the next couple of hours, it's like her brain's sort of reconciling it.
Yeah, he keeps coming home with all these injuries and bruises and stuff, and Daredevil knows her name. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that is going to happen. I think the nitpicking bit, which is the bit that you've pointed out, and I think you're going to laugh, and I think everyone's going to laugh, is the idea that his mask covering half his face and is using his regular voice, no one recognises him.
Yeah.
Look,
you've got to just
this is comic books, right? This is comic books. Either all of it's absurd or none of it is. Because who's your favourite character in Marvel?
Favourite character in all of it would be Iron Man.
Iron Man, all right. So, I was thinking currently Spider-Man.
Spider-Man is my next, definitely, yeah.
All right, so, he's bitten by a radioactive spider that gives him enhanced spider abilities. Either all of it's fucking stupid or none of it is.
Do you know how many times I've been bitten by spiders and then tried to climb a wall? 3 times.
How many
times?
3. Yeah, but that's still 3 more than you should.
A normal person.
Yeah. Yeah. So my point is, like, all of this mad or none of it is. So if we're gonna talk comic book stuff, that the whole I am Batman, Bruce,
or Spider-Man, Superman takes off his glasses or puts on his glasses and no one knows.
Exactly. Yeah. I did I did see someone once show a picture of them like looking sort of fairly smart, glasses on in a suit, and then them kind of at the gym without it, and everyone was like, oh, for the first time I get it. I get that. Yeah, you do look like 2 different people. But also there's an element, and I will say this, and it is funny. If you can't picture something, like if in her mind her blind lawyer boyfriend is this nice, sweet guy. He's a lawyer, he falls down a lot. Do you know what I mean? Poor guy, always got these bruises. How the hell can he be? How the hell can a blind person be this? Like, you put in those. So even if you're going, he sounded just like Matt. He must be from the same place as Matt. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like your brain would go, like he must be from Hell's Kitchen as well, because he sounds so much like my Matt. Obviously, it can't be. You know, he's about the same height as what. Oh, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
You know,
how the hell did he know where to shoot that thing to? Bloody hell, yeah.
Yeah, you are gonna get there. You know, but it just so I'm not bothered by that. I think
I'm looking forward to the episode where he comes home and she just starts throwing random shit at him to see if he dodges or not.
I'd love that. Would that be brilliant?
Ow, what was just that for? Let's see if you dodge it. Why would I dodge it? Well, you dodged the fucking bullet.
Yeah. I like the idea of us getting to witness her work it out. I don't dislike that, because I think it's pretty clear she's going to.
That'd be fun.
It also opens up that once she knows, that's a problem because of who her clients are.
Oh yes.
And of course, Fisk. What did you think? Because when Muse when they said, "Oh, we've identified this person," he had a look of real concern, like, shit, Muse is targeting me.
Yes.
And I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, like, that was kind of where my brain went to when I saw this as well. My first instinct was, oh, he cares about the doctor. No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
He thinks that this person is after him.
Yeah, he's like he's causing him, going after him. And I wonder if perhaps Luca being killed off on this was a little bit of, oh, people are coming at me. Oh, hang on. Maybe I need to start actually barreling a few of these bastards.
Yeah,
because
all of a sudden he's realised Vanessa was right, and actually he is now a high target because he's no longer scary.
Because also, again, there's these parallels all the time. Matt thinks she was targeted because of him. Fisk thinks she was targeted because of him. We know it had nothing to do with either of them. The guy liked her books and became a serial killer because of it.
Does make you wonder about what her writing skill is like. If she's creating
it does. I am concerned to read her book about vigilantes now.
Oh, they're going to pop up everywhere.
But yeah, so that's all my notes for the episode. Did you have anything else that I've missed?
I don't think so. The only other thing was, we mentioned it earlier about the ex-copper and Kirsten's, like, her whole thing about the trust. Yeah. Where she's kicking off, like, I trust you guys, it'd be nice if you trusted me back. I wonder if that's going to lead to anything big. Like we were saying about building up her storyline. That's my only other note I've got we haven't touched on, was just that line about the trust thing.
It seemed to be a running theme in the episode, trust.
Yeah.
Like, between the Fisks, between them, it was, Matt and Heather are on a bit of a collision course as well. They had that kind of conversation. It was a theme in the whole episode. But well worth pointing out. A small bit of podcast admin at the end. Last week, we had a lot of emails in. Last week's show was shorter than usual because I was unwell. So I kind of charged through the bullet points and then told Steph, we're done.
Yeah.
A lot faster. But yeah, I took ill. So it was the best we could put out. Sorry about that. This week, normal service resumed. But who knows next week? It's always a mystery. But hopefully I'll be here.
12-minute episode, yeah.
Yeah, just me going, what was that? But yeah, so thank you everybody for listening. Thank you everybody who's emailing in as well. The feedback we're getting in the conversations and the kind of the theories and everything thrown around, I'm really enjoying. I'm going to look forward to seeing what people think about Muse character's demise. Or, like me with Foggy, are there people like he's still alive? Who knows? I mean, he's dead.
He's currently making a really good self-portrait out of his own chest and guts. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great image, that. But yeah, so thank you, everybody, for listening. Steph, do you want to say goodbye to everybody?
Goodbye, everybody.
And I'll leave you all with this.
Becoming your true self can be scary. It's like you always say, we can't hide from ourselves. It's only when we embrace who we are we can truly be free.
Tell me about that drawing.
already know, Dr. Clint. I can see it in your face. No. This is a good thing. Now there are no more secrets between us. Is that my true self? Question, please. Ryan, I know what you're thinking, Dr. Clint. There's only one question on your mind right now. Can I make it to the door in time?
Thank you for listening to the Stuff and Things podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. You can find us on Facebook or online. Simply search the Stuff and Things podcast to join in our conversation every week.